Good everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hello everyone. I am Solid Blue Sister. Welcome to My Turn to Talk. Today is Tuesday, August the 10th, 2021. How are you? Okay, so yesterday, I was talking about social media and, has it ruined society? And I got a little bit off topic and I started talking about things, that, people used to do um, back in the day and they're not doing it anymore. And I thought my show today would be about things that, people would do that was, back in the day. Um, there's just so many things that you know we used to do and play and eat, and even the way we treated people. I mean, I may be dating myself, but how many people remember going to the grocery store or the market, whatever you want to call it, and you actually got a paper bag? There was no plastic. It wasn't paper or plastic. You you know, you got a paper bag. Your groceries were put in a paper bag and you put them in your cart and you walked to your car, and that was it. And people were using paper bags as trash bags. You get home, you unload your groceries, take your groceries out, and and you put your you use the paper bag as a garbage bag. Well, at least in my family, that's what we did. You know, and you know, how many people remember? Okay, here we go. LPs, LPs. I was over my sister's house, and my brother-in-law, still had the record player, and he had his LPs going, and he was playing some serious jams from back in the day. You know, um, he wasn't playing CDs or you know uh, listening on his phone. He had a record player. I still have my record player. I still have my record player, and I still have my albums. I still have some 78s that were passed down to me. You know, um, and when you listen to an album or a 45, remember 45s? 45s back in the day, when you listen to an LP or 45 record, even now when I play them and you listen to music from your mobile phone, it's not the same quality. It isn't. So there's just so many things that I appreciate from back in the day. And I'm going to say welcome to W- WVEK. So welcome. I'm not going to say the entire. You have a very long name there, but welcome. And 100 Yard Old Chemist, welcome to you. So today's show is all about what do you remember back in the day. Now, I am going to date myself. Hello, Shishi. I am going to date myself because I can remember things. Like I said before, there was plastic. We had paper. You know, um, before there were mobile phones, we had regular landline phones that you had to pick up and dial. I remember when touch-tone phones came out. You know, the ad for the touch-tone was touch-tone the musical phone. Um, or when you had an extension phone, you had one in your bedroom and one in the living room or whatever. You picked up the extension and you were talking, to someone. Two people were talking at the same time, or however many phones you had in your home. Those are things that I remember, that were back in the day that just seemed to make life just a little bit more simpler. Things weren't as hectic and chaotic as they are now. You know, um, I remember, and I'm dating myself again, back in the early 90s. I remember when cable started. It was expensive as hell, and your reception wasn't that great. But I remember when cable started. You know, um, I remember when on HBO, uh, the Hallmark Hall of Fame movies. You know, um, I remember the very first Hallmark Hall of Fame movie was Glenn Close, Sarah Plain and Tall. I mean, just think about things that you used to do, back in the day. So if anyone wants to jump in and join me and tell me what they remember, please type it, add it to the chat, or I will invite you to use the call-in feature and you can tell me what you remember. But as a girl growing up, I remember jumping rope. We played double dutch. We were outside. Kids actually went outside to play. Your mom told you, do not leave the front of the house. You had to stay in front of the house, or we could only go from one neighbor's house to this neighbor's house, but we had to stay within in that radius. And more than anything, you better be in the house when the street lights came on. You know, um, you better be in the house. Don't make me have to come and get you, was what our parents used to say. Because if your mother came to get you, she was going to perform in front of the whole neighborhood, and your friends were going to talk about it the next day. But these are things, that I remember, playing hopscotch, you know, um, uh, it's just so many different things that, um, uh, that we used to do. I'm sorry I had to mute some people because your background noise was coming through. Um, but again, look at where the world is now. Every time you turn on the television, there's just so much chaos, so much negativity. Um, I remember growing up, my parents would always have on ABC News, and this was back in Chicago. And the news was only a half hour. The news came on at 10 o'clock, went off at 10:30, only a half hour. But you heard about good things in the news. You only heard about, the last 5 minutes of the news was, and then this happened. It was something, bad that happened. But for the most part, you heard good things in the news. You heard the weather, sports, and then you heard the negative parts. Now, you turn on the news, everything is negative, 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 negative. And on a good day, you'll hear about at the very end, and this happened, and isn't that great? Things are not like they used to be. They just aren't. Our schools are not like they used to be. Um, just so many things are just different. And I don't know if it's because it's a generational thing. A lot of it has to do with technology. You know, um, but then again, things are different than they were 100 years ago and 200 years ago. I understand that things evolve and things change. But it just seems like that the evolvement that we're going through now, once again, is leading more towards the negative than the positive. So, every generation has their, their hot items and things that came out. And I remember back in the 80s, when Cabbage Patch Kids were out. Those were the hot things that were out. I don't know if anybody remembers the Cabbage Patch Kids. They came with a birth certificate, whatever. And, kids loved them. Kids loved them. Back in the 70s, we had the mood rings. I still have a mood ring, from the 70s. You know, um, if you were in a bad mood, it turned black. If you were in a good mood, it was supposed to be blue and it would turn to yellow and just different colors. We had mood rings, and thank you very much, WVEK. And we also have, anybody remember? Okay, this is back in the 70s. I'm dating myself again. Remember the pet rock? The pet rock, and the fact that people actually bought them. People actually bought pet rocks, as opposed to just going into your backyard or wherever and picking up a rock and bringing it in the house and calling it, Bo or whatever. People had pet rocks, you know. Um I remember, even though these have lasted for over 50 years, but I remember when the Chia Pet first came out, and you know, people would get them, and when you would buy comic books, you know, um, I was a big fan of Archie comic books, and I had a huge collection, and you would buy the comic books, and at the back of the comic book, it had where you could send in, for different things, whatever, and you remember the the cartoons that were at the back of the comic books that had um, the picture of the weakling at the beach, and then you have the the strong guy that was at the beach, and the strong guy kicked sand um, into the weakling's face, whatever, and his. And then you have the picture of the girlfriend, laughing, whatever. And then the weak guy went home and he started to work out. It was those ads for workout pills, and the next thing you know, he comes back to the beach and he's the strong guy and he's shoving sand into the other guy's face. I mean, I remember, all those things, that you used to read and see when you got a comic book. Cracker Jacks. Okay, how many people remember eating Cracker Jacks? And one of the first things you did was you were digging around for that envelope that would be the prize, you know. But bazooka bubblegum. You chew bazooka bubblegum and you have bazooka Joe. Um, and you had your little comic for bazooka Joe, and then right up underneath you have your fortune. Those are all things that I remember. You know, um, all of my previous shows have been, so serious and talking about, racism and critical race theory and, things like that. But, today, I just wanted to do just a show just to talk about some good things that were in our lives, growing up, growing up. Um, I would like to know if anyone remembers, and then again, I'm dating myself back in the 70s. Remember the 8-track players? Remember when 8 tracks first came out? They were big and clunky, and if you had them installed in your car, it was like, woohoo, you have an 8 track. But the thing about 8 tracks is with an 8 track, you couldn't rewind. There was no rewind function on the 8 track. So if there was a particular song that you really, really, really liked, you had to, go through either listen to the entire 8 track, or you had to fast forward each time through all the other songs to get to the song that you liked. But I remember eight-track players. Just so many things. That come to mind. Um, and even in school, the biggest thing was if anybody did something bad in school, it was like, oh, they were smoking in the bathroom or something. They were sneaking a smoke in the bathroom. And if you got caught, you had to stay after school, go to detention. Now it's like Lord knows what they're doing in bathrooms now in school. Do you even want to go into the bathrooms in some of these schools? You know, it's just crazy. It's crazy the way things have evolved. Um, so once again, I would like to ask if anyone else wants to share anything that they remember about when they were growing up, things that they used to do or their parents used to do, or uh, anyone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, I'm still having some issues, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Still having some issues because I want to be able to change my name or whatever, but
Is this
um,
shy lady?
it is. It
Okay,
is.
shy lady. Okay.
I told you, like I said, I'm still figuring some things out. I'll have to probably have my kids work with me with this, but I'm figuring it out. At least I can talk. Yesterday I couldn't even talk, so I read the instructions, so I'm a little bit better. But there's so many things, as far as back in the day, and it's just amazing how technology has played a role with what's going on today. I was just thinking about how the whole telephone thing, you have your phone with you everywhere you go now, but back in the day, if you missed a call, you just missed a call. Then we upgraded to um, actually being able to leave a voicemail on the phone with a recorder. But it just really, really amazes me how far we've come with technology, and even with the cell phones. Now you can FaceTime. So it's just amazing how things have really changed since we were kids. And like I think the one show you said that there were, kids went out a lot more than they do now, but they were weirdos and creeps back then. But we
Right.
still went out. We still did hopscotch and double dutch and rode our bikes all over the place.
Yep.
So it's just
Well,
it's just a
see,
different world.
well, you bring up a point because now it's that term free range kids, and back in the day, I was a free range kid. Like you said, I rode my bike all over the place. The only thing was I just had to make sure I was home by the time the street lights came on, but I
Hmm.
was all over the place. And when you think about it, there were creeps and freaks and pedophiles and all that stuff back then. We just know about them more so now, probably because of social media.
Hmm.
But now if your child is out and about by themselves, you have the person next door ready to call the police and tell them that that your child is by themselves and they're not with a parent and what have you. And it just wasn't like that before. And I think that I think that children should, yes, you have a responsibility as a parent, but I mean, if your kid wants to ride their bike, you don't have to be with them if they're with a group of kids and they're riding their bikes around the block or whatever.
Something that's interesting too is my kids. They don't know anything about phone booths. Remember the phone booths back in the day? And I think one of my kids asked me, "Well, if you were out and you needed somebody to call, what did you do?" I said, "Well, we went to go to find a phone booth."
And you
A
always
phone
had to
booth?
carry a dime or a quarter.
Yeah, they just couldn't fathom that you would actually go to a phone booth, and God forbid if it was a person who was hogging the phone, who
Yes.
back in the
Yes.
day when people were using them for illegal things, and they was
Mhm.
just, yeah,
Mhm.
my kids, they just were flabbergasted that there were phone booths back in the day.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. Also, because I remember when I used to fly uh, back, even as early as the 90s, when I would fly, when people would get off the plane, everyone would run to a phone booth. everyone, when people would get off the plane and they would head to the phone booth because, they're either calling a ride or, making a business call, whatever, but everyone ran to the phone booth. Now, when people get off the plane, everybody, even before the plane lands, people are pulling out their cell phones and they're texting or calling, whatever. Things have changed, you know, um, and it's interesting because a lot of things that we have back in the day, like landline phones and rotary phones and touch tone phones and what have you. I tell people keep those because those are going to be worth money. Those are things that you hold on to, and those are collector items.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but the typewriter is supposed to be coming back or is back. The manual typewriter.
I did not know that. So why
Oh
is it
yeah.
why is it making a comeback?
I have no idea, but I was watching the Olympics and there was an Olympian typing on a typewriter, sending a letter to someone. And my daughter said, "Did you know the typewriters are back?" I said, "No, I didn't." And I'm like, why on earth would anybody want to make it harder when you don't have to?
Well, I will say this. I took typing. I took 3 years of typing in high school. I remember my typing teacher's name. Her name was Mrs. Lindquist, and I I could never. My typing speed, even though I took 3 years of typing, is still horrible. Is still
Really?
horrible. Yes, I am a hunt and pecker. Whereas I look at my husband. My husband types like 200 words a minute,
That's
and
me.
you know,
I
and
had typing too, and I loved it. I
oh
loved it.
no,
We used to have the
mm-mm.
typing contest. Who can go the fastest without the errors? Oh, it was fun. I
Oh
loved it.
no, I hated typing. Typing was just one thing I never liked to type. And
I
my
loved it.
mother made me take typing for 3 years.
Wow.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. While a lot of even though there were boys who were in our typing class, what I liked, and I was one of the first girls at our school who took shop. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take shop.
Oh, make
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to fix things, what have you. And when I was 16, my father gave my sister and I still have it, gave us a toolbox.
Mm.
And he said, he always wanted to make sure that his girls knew how to fix things. And to this day, I mean, the other day I was dragging out that toolbox, because I was fixing things. Installed our sprinkler thing that's in our garage. When I changed over our heating stuff to the wireless and the smart things and what have you. I know how to do that. I know how to change a tire. I know how to change oil and stuff. I always wanted to do that. I was never one to do the home economics or want to sit and type. And I always said, I'm not going to need typing. Well, yeah, I did kind of need it, but no, to this day, I have never been a typer. Mm-mm.
Interesting.
But at the same time though, you know, you know, typewriters are not bad. The only thing that I would say is, like you say, if you make a mistake to go back and fix it, you either had to start over with a whole new sheet of paper, or you had to do whiteout. Or I mean, do
Yeah.
people even use whiteout anymore? Do people even buy
No,
that?
I don't think so.
you know, so but even still, whiteout. All these things that we used to have back in the day. You know,
Hmm.
but I think more than anything that I miss um, is when I used to go to concerts. And I remember going to an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert,
Oh my God.
which was absolutely, I mean, it was like just off the chain. It
Hmm.
was great, whatever. But
Hmm.
that was when they actually played instruments.
Hmm.
They actually played the guitar. It wasn't all these synthesizers and everything. It's like the entire band actually played. When I heard the OJs and the Temptations. I mean, we used to go to all of those shows.
Hmm.
And when they actually played, now you go to a concert and everybody's using these synthesizers, or they're not even really singing. You know,
It's all computer.
It is. It
It's all
is.
computer.
It is. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to spend $200 for me to listen to a computer that I can actually go back and just stay home and listen to.
You know,
you know?
you know what amazes me is that when I see like today's artists, and I'm not knocking them, I understand that this is the way things are right now. But what amazes me is that they call them musicians and producers, but they're not producing any music. Everything is off the computer. They arrange
Yeah.
the percussions and the other instruments, and it's just mind blowing to me because I actually was in the band all through middle school and elementary school. I played a clarinet
I played the clarinet.
and I all through middle school. I actually was good enough to do it high school, but I got bored. But kind of wish I would have because I may have gotten a scholarship to play in a marching band or something. But I didn't realize that back then. But people amaze me when they say, "Oh, he's a musician and he's an artist," and it's like, yeah, you're creating music, but it's already been redone. It's not like you're actually playing the instrument. And it just amazes me how back in the day, like bringing up the concerts, how when you went to an actual concert, people were on stage actually playing instruments.
Right.
And my dream is hopefully before I die is to see music back in the classrooms with kids, them actually valuing music, and to actually see artists replace the computers with real live instruments.
Well, that's interesting because growing up in school, we did have music classes. Whether it was voice or instruments, whatever, we had music, and they've taken a
Hmm.
lot of that out of the schools.
Hmm.
And when you say that kids are actually playing the instruments, I remember Prince was criticized when he did not want his music to be on some of these what do you call it, these uh
Samples.
well, not samples where kids could my husband has some video program like Garage Band or something, and you can play the
Hmm.
music, whatever. Prince
Hmm.
didn't want his music on there, and his reasoning was that remember, Prince, he could play everything,
Hmm.
and his
Yep.
thing was, when you have that, kids are not actually learning how to play the instruments. He thought that you should be old school and you actually learn how to play.
Hmm.
So yes, he missed out on making a lot of money, but he said he thought that kids should actually learn how to play. And Prince actually, taught some children, how to, play the guitar and, play the drums and stuff. He actually took time out and actually taught some children, how to play. But one thing about a Prince concert, I remember, I saw Prince live twice,
Hmm.
and I remember back in oh, I can't remember the name of that theater.
I saw him once. I'm trying to think. I think it was the back in like I was in college. I want to say it was like maybe 1981 when he had the controversy album. He came to was it the stadium?
No, it wasn't. It
It
wasn't. It
wasn't the
wasn't the
stadium.
stadium. It was the one that was further out in Rolling Meadows or something. But I can't. I can't remember the name of it. But I just remember just being so entranced watching him actually play that guitar. And you knew that it was him playing. It wasn't synthesizers or anything. It
Hmm.
was like he was actually playing. And that's one thing that I think that you miss now when people go to concerts, that they're missing that.
Oh, I remember too. Like you say, with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I remember the long solos that the saxophonist
Yes.
played. I
Hmm.
mean, it was incredible, especially
Hmm.
when Philip Bailey did Reasons.
Reasons. Yes.
And
Yes.
oh my,
Oh my God. Yep. Mhm.
hmm, yeah,
And it's interesting because I still listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire in my car, and
hmm,
if you look at my playlist in my car, I don't know. any of the new songs that are out now. I don't know any of the new people that are out. All of my things that I listen to are old school. I mean, I listen to Al Green, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites. Don't laugh at me. I love Dolly Parton. I love,
Oh, I do too.
I
You'll
love
come
her
again.
music.
My daughter likes her. You'll come again. Oh, that's a great song. That's my favorite song by her.
You know,
Absolute
so
favorite. Hmm.
but I like listening to old school, artists because they were artists.
Yeah.
They were actually artists, and I mean, even yeah, I'm gonna change it up a little bit, but even at some of the toys that kids are playing with, it's like it seems like that when we were growing up, our toys were more interactive. Hello, OOJ28. Thank you very much. Thank you. It seems like that our toys were more interactive. Um, um, but it just seems like and when I say interactive, I mean that it allowed us to use our imaginations more. Even if you had GI Joe with the kung fu grip, or even if you were, had a Barbie doll. And I must admit, I never ever had a Barbie. I never ever had a Barbie, and I had very few dolls because my mother refused to buy me white dolls. She would not do it. She would not
Same
do it.
here. I'll tell you what my dolls were. Julia. Remember the Julia doll?
I remember the Julia doll, and I actually got my first baby doll when I was 9, in which I thought I was too old to have a doll because at that point I wanted to play with trains and cars and what have you. But my first black doll that I got, I was 9, but I did have a Julia doll that was after Di, um, Diane
Hmm.
Carroll.
Exactly.
But my mom, I mean, and some of I remember some of my relatives used to criticize my mom about that, but we did not have dolls growing up. My mother did not buy us dolls, and we got dolls. We got them from other people who gave them to us, for Christmas or for our birthday or whatever. And my mother did not want us to play with those dolls, but I mean, I didn't care, because I was a
there was
top tomboy anyway.
but we were like in my household, my parents were young parents in the 60s, and they were you know what was going on in Chicago, the whole daily thing down in City Hall. It was a lot
Right,
going on, and my parents were very much into the movement, and my parents refused to buy me a doll that wasn't black. So I had one doll, and that was Julia. She was black, and I had the Chrissy doll. I had to have the black version because it's the doll with the big head. You can like do her hair and all that. Do you remember that?
I remember. I remember.
I had the black one, even though her hair was straight like the white ones. But I had the black one. But my parents refused to buy me a doll that was white. I mean, with the turmoil that was going on, it was like the whole thing. Black is beautiful.
Right, right.
That's what was preached to me. Black is beautiful. You don't need to um, glorify something that you're not.
Okay, that's I understand that. I want to stop for a moment.
Okay.
100 Yardo Chemist made a comment, which is true. Every generation is a 2.0 of the previous generation. I agree that actual musicianship is important, but to learn how to produce music digitally encompasses science, math, art, language arts, and music theory. Hmm, that's interesting. Shy Lady, what do you think about that?
I think that that's cool, and that means you're kind of a computer nerd. But there's nothing like real instruments, in my opinion. That's cool if you good if you good digitally. That means, like I said, you're gifted with technology, but nothing compares to me to a real live guitar, a real live drums, saxophone, piano. It just doesn't compare in concert to me. And I grew up in the 60s and 70s, like Solid Blue Sister. I'm 59. I went to as many Earth, Wind, and Fire concerts I could. Prince, the Commodores, Parliament, Funkadelic, you name it, and it was nothing like that. in my
Now,
experience.
I will say that with funkadelic, to have music that was digitally done would have been completely different. But hold on for a second. OJ28, are you saying yes and agree with you? Are you agreeing with 100 Yard Old Chemist, or are you agreeing with what Shy Lady just said? And if I can open it up to, if you want to do a call in, and 100 Yard Old Chemist, you also. Um, I just want to know who OJ28 with the lady. Okay, okay. So 100 Yard Old Chemist. Let me ask you what Shy Lady just said. Do you think that digitally composed music is better than music that is organic, or real, or what do you think about that? Okay, hold on. Let me. He wants to invite to speak. Okay, so I've sent you an invite if you want to speak.
Hey,
Hey, hello.
hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
So I don't think what I believe is music is necessary and musicianship is necessary, but when it comes to when it comes to digital music, it's the future. Like I understand that people love musicians and actual horns and actual guitars, but the way our society is growing, that's losing its place. If that makes sense.
I I understand that, and I agree with you to a point when you say that it's losing its place. But let me. Okay, I guess what I want to know is, do you think that digitally produced music is better than the live music? I guess
No,
that's
no,
okay.
I honestly
Okay.
don't. I
Okay.
honestly don't because digital music doesn't have that soul.
Hmm.
Like you can't evoke the same feelings digitally as you can through actual people playing.
That's a good
Okay.
point. That's a very
That
good point. The soul. Um, I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I know that technology has taken over. Just I remember when I first moved to the Texas area, they had people that would take, if you were traveling on the tollway, they had people that would take your money and give you back change or whatever.
right.
Those jobs have been eliminated. Now you just go right through, or they send you a bill because they can digitally see your license plate. So I see that technology is going to keep those people from having a job, and they will probably never come back. However, I do think that somewhere in the future, real music is going to come back. I really do believe that. I think
Now why do you say that?
just like old things are coming back. I mean, I don't believe the telephone's ever going to come back, but I believe that I believe that real life instruments are going to come back. They might not happen in my lifetime, but I believe they're going to come back. I believe it's a trend or a fad, so to speak. Because I never thought that uh, people like Earth, Wind and Fire. I never thought that their music would not be popular anymore. I never thought that rap would take over the industry the way it has. I thought it would go away, but I think eventually everything has its place. I know my father was a big jazz buff, and it was a very dominant genre of music at the time, but it went away. Blues went
But
away.
did jazz and blues really go away, or was it just the fact that you just had a new generation who who like rap and what have you? But when you look at it, when you hear a song that's from back in the day, in the 70s or even the 60s, people are like, hey, it's like you get that enthusiasm. I don't think you get that enthusiasm when people start rapping. I don't
You
think you
you
can
you
compare
don't.
the two.
You don't. You know, it's funny because I was in church a couple of weeks ago, and they had this. It's this. What do you call it? I don't know what they call it. I guess new wave singing where the soul is gone. They're just kind of like going through the motion. But there was an actual gospel artist. This was a predominantly black church. There was an actual gospel artist that came out with so much soul, and they were playing live instruments. Everybody in the church, and this is a church with like 5,000 members up. Everyone that I could see got up on their feet when this woman started singing. Everyone. Before that, this other person was singing with this group. People were just like tapping their feet or just sitting there. But when this woman came out and sang this soulful rendition of a gospel song, people were losing it. They
Okay,
were losing
so
it.
all right, so let me go back to 100 Yard Old Chemist. What do you say about that? I mean, do you agree with Shy Lady that 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 old school music, old school is going to come back?
It never left. It never
Okay.
left because it goes back to what I said. Like every generation is just a 2.0 of the last generation, so everything is just constantly being recycled and reused into something else. So it never really left. I mean, digital music, digital music is the future of music, and it shouldn't have such a hold on people to the point where we only use digital music. But if you notice, I don't know if you guys listen to rap at all, but if you notice that the older artist gets, the more they use live music. So it really hasn't gone anywhere.
I like
Okay.
rap, but I like what they call the old school rap. I like Tupac. I like Biggie.
Yeah.
I don't like the stuff that's out today, and I know I know what it
Nobody likes
sounds
the
like
stuff that's out today.
because I have kids I have one is 17, 23, 25. So I don't even understand what they're talking about, honestly.
I mean, but
But
Okay.
at some point, you were that way. Your parents couldn't understand the stuff that your artists are talking about.
oh no, I agree because my father was into John Coltrane, Miles Davis. He had every song, every record they ever had. I still got his old albums. John Coltrane, I took those, and when we would start playing Earth, Wind and Fire or Parliament, my father would say it was garbage. He would.
Okay, so 100 Yard Old Chemist, if you don't want to answer this question, you don't have to. I'm totally like getting into your business, but can I ask how old you are?
I'm 38.
38. Okay. All right. So I'm 59, you're 38. Okay. So you got a little bit of a generation thing there. Okay. All right. So let me ask this. For either Shy Lady and 100 Yard Old Chemist, do you think that um, do you think that music in 20 years is going to be better than what it is now? As much as technology has changed, we don't know where technology is going to be in 20 years. But do you think that the music is going to be enhanced where it could possibly sound like it's live, but it's not really? You guys know what I'm saying? Am I like
There,
not?
there are programs right now that recreate that sound, but they aren't that far along to where they recreate it perfectly.
There's I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt anyone. I was gonna say that I have to give credit to Bruno Mars and his band. He seems to be trying to keep R&B and real music alive. He's one of the
Agree.
hottest entertainers out there today. So I think that more groups like him will probably come in the future because people seem to really love his music. His music is soulful. That's why. I mean, I just don't understand the industry itself. How they have white artists try to sound like black artists, and they want the black artists to sound like white artists. It's just crazy when artists should just be who they are. I understand it's about money, but artists should be who they are. Uh, I think that music is going to change because, like I said, I see Bruno Mars and his popularity is transcending a lot of different roads out there in terms of music.
Right. Right.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, you guys have made some really good points, but I still enjoy listening to live music. I was uh fortunate before Aretha Franklin, got sick and she passed away, that one of her last performances out here in California, I saw her at the Hollywood Bowl. And I just remember, just listening to her and how, even though she was, older, whatever, her voice was still pure. It was still Aretha. And it wasn't her, again, using a synthesizer or anything like that. It was her voice. She was singing. Whereas some of these newer people, it's like, are they are they even singing? Are they even live or are they lip singing?
Millie Vanilli.
And there's an interesting thing about Millie Vanilli. I remember watching one of those, whatever happened to shows, whatever. And when Millie Vanilli were nominated for that one album when they first came out, whatever, they were sitting there. They were saying that they were sitting there in the audience saying, "Please don't let us win. Please don't let us win. Please don't let us win." And then when their name was
My
called,
God.
they literally said, "Damn, we won." And they did not want to get up. They did not want to get up. They did not want to accept that award, whatever. And they went up there and, their manager was like, "You got to do it. You got to do it, whatever." And then everything just fell apart after that. But, you think about it, had they never won, they probably could have gone on and done a second album or a third or whatever. They could have probably, just kept going. But you look at stuff like this, and after Millie Vanilli, it's like, how many artists do we know who are actually out there who are actually singing? How do we know that there aren't more Millie Vanillis that are out there? I mean, seriously.
Good
I mean,
question.
I mean, do we? I mean, do we know if they're actually out there singing? I mean, I don't think.
Jennifer Lopez.
Well, I'm not a Jennifer Lopez fan. Never have been. I remember when she had her stint on Living Color, whatever. But other than that, I am not a Jennifer Lopez fan, and she is not a singer to me.
I totally agree.
So you look at some of these people, and the only way, I mean, I don't know. I just look at things, and again, just going back to when we grew up and stuff. Things just were so much simpler. Not to get off the whole thing with music and everything, but I enjoy when I was outside playing. I enjoy being outside and playing. Now you don't hardly see kids outside anymore. When you see a kid crying, the first thing a parent wants to do is give them a cell phone and have them play with a cell phone. What about giving them a book or some crayons, and have them draw and color? What happened to the coloring books?
You
You
know,
know,
I,
you
I don't even know if books are a real thing anymore, because
they
nobody
they
no.
they are in my house.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of today's youth. Nobody, everybody's on their phone. Everyone's on their phone, and it's and I'm a writer, author. I'm real big into words and books, and it just saddens me that most people don't read. Most
Yeah,
people don't read.
yeah.
It's really a sad thing. But life has really changed a lot, and technology has really made a difference.
Well, you know, I think that unfortunately, you know, libraries are not used as much. I still go to the library. I still have a library card. I still
Mm-hmm.
check out books, what have
So
you.
so do I. Yep.
But and I can't read. I tried reading a book on Kindle, and I can't do it because my eyes. Maybe it's my age, whatever. But my eyes seem like everything just starts to run into each other. I want a book.
Mm-hmm. Something you
I
can
want
hold.
to carry something that I can hold. Whatever. And you know, when I was sit in an airport, I would sit and I would just watch that. The first thing people do when they're waiting for a plane is they get out their laptops or their iPads or their phones, and everybody's on their phone. And I'm just like just sitting there just watching people. And every time I've been a people watcher at an airport, I've always had someone who was sitting next to me who was always older, and the two of us would just start talking, and we would have like this hour-long conversation about some of everything. And I think that the conversation we had, because we were actually talking, was probably better than what people were doing on their phones. I mean, people don't talk anymore, and I think that's another reason why our society is the way that it is. People don't talk to each other anymore.
You
Right.
know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was gonna say, just go to the restaurant sometime and look at the people at the other tables. And when my family and I go out, my husband and the kids, we say, okay, everybody off their phone, let's talk. And you can look around the room and it'll be couples and kids. Everybody's on their phone. They're not talking. Everyone's on their
So why
phone.
so why even go out to eat?
Yeah, it's a good. That's true. But we make it a point of put the phone away. We're gonna talk and converse with each other while we're eating.
And that's what you should do.
Yep.
100. Yardo Chemist, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Shiley and I, we've been friends for over 30 years. And in terms of our values, we we have the same values. We don't always agree on some things, but but we but again, people just need to talk. And I can honestly say that some of my best conversations that I've had with just anyone has been when you're talking to them, when you're not texting, whatever. And I go back to Facebook. Okay. On Facebook, I have like maybe 31 friends. I'm not someone that's going to just friend you because you're a friend of a friend or that this person or whatever. I
Right.
actually, the people that I'm actually friends with on Facebook are people that I can actually pick up the phone and call and talk to. And I'm not on Facebook that much. I don't like it. I don't care when you post, pictures of your family and friends and your kids, whatever. I don't believe people should post their children, like little children, on Facebook. I don't like that. Whatever. I don't care. I mean, I don't care about that stuff. I prefer that if you're going to tell me about a vacation you had, I prefer to pick up the phone and talk to you, or, meet you for lunch or go to the park or whatever. I want to have an interaction with you.
Right.
And I have found that a lot of the friendships that have lasted for me through the years are people that I talk to. Shiley and I, we live in two different cities. We don't talk on the phone every day, whatever, but we do talk. We do text, whatever. But our my conversations, I like to, and my most meaningful conversations come from when you're actually talking. And I think that's one thing that children today and young people today are just not doing because of social media. They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to interact with each other. And I think that has led to just your verbal skills.
Right.
Some people can't talk. Their diction is horrible.
Right.
I mean, look at it. How many people even write cursive anymore? I mean, cursive isn't even being taught in school anymore. If you ask someone to sign their name, they're like, "What?" It's like they don't know. They don't know. And all this is part of talking and verbalizing, and people just don't communicate. But that's just my opinion. I'm only one.
I mean, and you're not wrong. I absolutely hate social media. I'm not on Facebook, Instagram, anything like that, because I feel like if you want to have a conversation with me, come talk to me. I don't like text because text don't convey emotions properly.
Exactly.
So anything dealing with that form of technology, I'm away from it.
And okay, you just brought up a good point. So 100-yard chemist, I want to ask you, when you say that text don't convey the emotions, which they don't. Whenever you're typing something, you don't. You have to go back and say, well, exactly what do you mean? Do you think that when you throw up that emoji, that's helping you convey what you want to say, or no?
Uh, I don't use those, but
Okay.
I guess to some people it does. But to me, like I said, if you want to talk to me, we have any problems, or you want to express yourself in any kind of way, come talk to me.
Okay. No, I mean, and that's a great point. That's um comes down to communication. When you type things,
Exactly.
it allows people to take you out of context. They
Right.
may take things the wrong way, because I know I've typed things where I've had to go back and literally almost type a book. But when you're only allowed so many characters,
Right.
you can't, you have to edit, and you have to, change, and then it's like, well, no, that's not what I want to say. All right, all right. So, guys, I am at almost up to my hour. Does anyone else have anything they want to say? And I'm going to tell you what my topic is for tomorrow, unless it changes. Every time I have a topic, it changes because something happens, or I have a conversation with someone, and it changes. But my topic tomorrow is going to be does is the church, or I'm sorry, should the church be part of politics?
Ooh,
How that has kind of ruined one or not ruined one, or what do you think? But that's what I'm thinking my show is going to be about tomorrow.
that's
So
a fantastic topic.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
so yeah, so if anybody wants to join me again, I'm this is my second week on Podbean. I was before on Zoom, but I have uploaded all of my previous shows where you can actually see me talking, whatever. But this is more secure, and I think people feel more comfortable, and there's more interaction here. So thank you guys for showing up. I have some awesome music. I love my music. So I do. I love my music. So anyway, thank you again. I'm Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. you, everyone. Again, I'm Solid Blue Sister. Have a great day.